listening to the Product Coalition podcast with Jay Stansel. This is where product mastery happens. This is where careers are made. Welcome to the Product Coalition podcast. Let's go.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Product Coalition podcast. Excited to share today's moment with you with Nipurn Doshi. Nipurn's lead product designer at Sigma Computing, a company he's helped grow from zero to scale over the last 7 years. With roots in both systems engineering and design, Nipurn brings a rare clarity to the world of enterprise data tools, where complexity is often higher and the cost of friction is often even higher. Our conversation is going to explore how small design choices can create ripple effects that last years, and how the role of AI is subtly reshaping how we build, think, and design in the data space. We'll also dive into the long arc of staying creative and challenged inside one company for a long period, and what demands from a designer can take from those experiences and give back. Nipurn's going to share how he keeps user experiences clean and intuitive in environments filled with technical nuances everywhere, and how trust and collaboration need to show up when the path forward isn't obvious. So it's thoughtful, candid, and packed takeaways from today that I'm hoping you're all going to get to enjoy. Nipurn, thanks for joining me, and I'm really lucky today to be recording here at the Noise Nest down in West Hollywood in Los Angeles. So I'm hoping this is going to be an extra special episode.
Hoping for this to be great as well. Thank you for the invite, Jay. It's really excited to be here.
Nipurn, today is a moment that you're going to talk about a lot of passions and things and moments that mean a lot to you. Before we get into some of the topic around the pixels, problems, and pivot tables that make up your world, could you talk to the audience about why was this conversation important for you? Why do you have a passion for this conversation today?
So I've been in the data field for quite a while, but I haven't lost the obsession to make things clear. So, for example, if you are looking at the data, designing for data is almost as if you're looking at a cockpit. You can't hide everything, you can't show everything either. So, even at Sigma, we face this problem head on, and even after so many years, new design challenges come up. It keeps me fresh, it keeps me going, and that's why I think I love to talk about these topics where tables are the most important piece of any data, but tables themselves cannot speak anything. We are, as humans, have to find out what's important to us from them, and that's why I felt this might be a good topic to bring up, where it's like a middle between design and data and and the product, and you're trying to make something that can be used by people coming from any field, and they shouldn't feel lost. So
Fantastic. It's a privilege for me. I speak to a lot of designers throughout my career, but to be able to get some time with someone who's living, breathing design for the purposes of BI and telling stories with data and some of those concepts is a really unique opportunity to find someone that lives and breathes just that. So excited to get into it today. So let's just recap here, Nipurn, pixels, problems, and pivot tables. Before we jump into a few examples and war stories you've had over the years, what's the general theme of problems in this space for both product people, designers, stakeholders, and when it comes to a combination of data and design?
So the users that we deal with, everybody's trying to find some answer to they're trying to get some insights from their data. And there are hundreds of products out there. BI feel is not new to anybody. Everybody uses something to analyze their data. But our users are special for us because they can be coming from any industry. They can be marketeers, they can be analysts, they can be financial leaders, and they are looking at these different they're looking at these dashboards where they are able to look at very nuanced details of their data and find out that they can explore that data very easily without having to feel lost. And that's the crux of it. Like, you can be from any field, and that's where our stakeholders come in, where every day we're looking at how can we solve these problems for these users without having to worry about an industry. We want to solve the problems that everybody deals with at the core level, so that they can feel more confident and not cautious while using the product.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Design can often be seen as an easy thing from stakeholders who are not designers. It's easy to put labels on needs and solutions. That how hard could that be, or can we make it a bit bigger or smaller, and those types of challenges. And I know that because I started my life as a designer.
Oh.
But I also appreciate that design decisions can uncover new problems. What could
Mhm.
seem like almost a known problem, known solution, when you really look into it from a designer's perspective,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you discover that actually there's even more problems to this one problem that we thought we had, or there's
Yep.
many more solutions to this one problem that we thought we had. So, could you talk to me about an instance where maybe you've had a design decision that looks small on the surface, but then had an outstanding long term impact?
Um, there have been many instances. Maybe I can talk about one. So, in our product, we used to automatically save every new document as my worksheet in a user's private folder as soon as they created one. It sounds helpful, but users ended up with like a cluttered mess, hundreds of documents that they never intended to keep. The solution to it felt simple, that what if we just create an untitled draft or an unsaved document? Everybody does that. It's not a new concept. But here, when we started doing that, the real insight came when we realized that most of the data analysis is out of curiosity, a quick question to the answer to that they want to answer quickly. And usually, when they start looking at a source and they analyze something, there are usually two outcomes. Either the user finds the insight and moves on, or they uncover something worth digging into and sharing with others. And the problem was that we were treating both the scenarios the same. And so our solution was simple, but it was sort of transformative, that we made the initial exploration of the data ephemeral, such that user can feel the freedom of being able to try to play and explore their data without having the burden of like these all these documents that they have that they need to maintain.
Okay, I'm gonna stay on this theme then. When it comes to how we want to have those quick questions that
Mhm.
come to mind, obviously what's changed for all of us around the world now is both speech to text capabilities and how efficient that is, but also using text and language as an inquiry mechanism. So I'm gonna take the next question into the AI world.
Mhm.
How has AI started to influence your product design decisions in the data space, and what's exciting you about that or worrying you about that shift?
Yeah, it does excite and worry me both. I'll talk about both. So, AI is undeniably reshaping how people interact with data tools. And as a product designer, that shift is, as you said, both exciting and humbling. So, at Sigma, we have seen this play out firsthand, where there's a mind shift that has happened, where people want to think of things not from query level, but they think of them as like question level. Like it's question driven BI now. So it means rethinking the interfaces from the ground up, making room for these natural language inputs, summarize data easily, guide the users, and make them feel like it's more conversational than just some configuration do to get answers. So our product has released some new features. There's one called Ask Sigma, where it's one step in that direction, where users can just ask any question they want in plain English, and then refine or edit those queries based on what they want to know more. And there are some other features as well. Like, we have integrated AI into the formula editor, because people who are deep into data analysis write their own formulas, and they don't want to learn new formulas. They have been doing it for ages in Excel, and they've grown up doing that. So like we have to make sure that they can ask a question. They don't have to learn how things happen in Sigma, and they just ask something in plain English and we convert that question into a formula. So that's another use case. There's a third one where if somebody who's a consumer and not an analyst, they're looking at a dashboard like an exec, and they want to understand what is this visualization actually telling me. They can just click a button and then it summarizes the entire visualization or the dashboard for them in a few words. So they get the gist immediately without having to go back to their data analyst and like, oh, what did this really mean? Why is there a spike over here? And all of that.
Okay. I'm keen to learn from you how your internal conversations have changed when it comes to you as a designer briefing engineering team on the changes you want to see, knowing that historically we could produce mock charts, use mock data to fabricate data visualizations and layouts. When it comes to a
Yeah.
user giving an unknown, quite often, amount of text as an input, and the knowing then that the output can be very variable. It could be text or graphs or a combination of all of those. What does your internal conversation look like when you're sharing your delivery requirements to engineers on what the outputs are going to be, knowing that there's a lot more variables now than there probably used to be?
You've asked a very good question. I think that's something that's also something I'm concerned about too. So when we talk about all of these places where somebody can just put in some English and then want an answer immediately out of it, are concerned that could it feel too opaque, as in you just ask a question and you get an answer? That sometimes just takes away the transparency, and it could risk into making the tool feel a little bit more like magical. You know, like it makes it a bit untrustworthy. And so to mitigate that, what we have started doing is when somebody asks a question, we show them our process from the get-go. Like if somebody asks how are my revenues doing this quarter, we tell them that okay, we have actually picked this source and we are trying to apply a filter for the date, which is this quarter. Sometimes, because even whatever we do, sometimes this AI does weird things, and so we want to make sure that users are able to iterate on those steps themselves, that they are able to say, okay, no, I don't think you picked the correct quarter, that was last year's quarter, and I'm going to go fiddle around with it myself. So it's like a collaboration between the user and the AI, and it's a nice design challenge to be able to not just get a question and give an answer and be done with it. It's like the whole process of defining the relationship between a user's connection between them and the interface has changed, and we are the ones who have to actually make sure that it's a good long lasting relationship, rather than just be like, oh, I got this answer, I don't know if it's right or wrong, I might just go back to my data analyst and ask the question. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Can I ask, with all of that in mind, then, for your users' onboarding experience and knowing the way they interact with products has been changing,
Mhm.
what have you been looking at and considering with regards to changes to um, that experience, that onboarding experience? How do people get to learn how to use your products, knowing that the interface isn't the same heuristics that it used to be 10 years ago of forms and fields and submit buttons, but it's becoming much more fluid? How do you get users comfortable in onboarding experience of your products?
Oh, great question. So even before you like all of the AI came in, it's always been our goal that we want users to be able to just um, get what they need from the tool without having the need to learn the tool. So we've always tried to make sure that when the users come in, they meet the first, like they get the first taste of success immediately, so that they are able to trust the tool enough and they are confident enough that they want to come back again and again, rather than being able to get some insight and not be sure about it. And with the emergence of AI, it's also been like they are used to some new patterns now. You go to ChatGPT, you ask some question and get some answers. Can we bring those patterns into the product rather than them having to relearn how AI might be working in Sigma? We try to bring those patterns that they're already used to outside of Sigma, so that they feel even more confident again about like just being able to interact with the product from day one.
Okay. I'm keen to know what advice you give to designers that have to incorporate some data visualization into their role, but they're not doing what you're doing. You're living and breathing
Mhm.
data and data viz as a designer. But many designers out there will be asked to come in and contribute to the analytics screen in a product. When it comes to advice for them, knowing that now more than ever we're working with larger, more complex sets of data than ever before, what advice would you give to them to keep the UX intuitive, easy for the end user?
So I would say whenever you meet with any complexity, whether it be in the analytics world or outside of it, I would always take it as an opportunity to be able to redefine. If something is complex to you, it is going to be complex to your users as well. So it's an opportunity to actually make that be feel more simple enough such that the users don't have to take that burden. There's like a law of UX called the Tesla's law, that every product has some level of complexity in it, and the way you deal with it is you figure out, does this complexity become the responsibility of the users to understand, or can the product take that responsibility and break things bit by bit for the user so that they are able to get done with their tasks without having to deal with that complexity. So it's upon us designers to actually take up that challenge as an opportunity again to make that complexity feel so intuitive to the user, be it any field, that they can just use the product without having to think, how do I use it? They just get their task done and be out.
Fantastic. Ipan, you've been in the same company for 7+ years. I mean, I've been recording podcasts for about 7+ years. And I don't think I've had a single guest on the show that is still at the same company that they started at. Can I ask, what have you learned about maintaining creativity, which is quite often in X interviews is a common issue for designers when they're wanting to choose a new challenge? What keeps you creative? What is it about the company or around your mindset that keeps you excited and growing in the same business 7 years in?
Yeah. Yes. 7 years at a company in tech is rare, that too in a startup. But at Sigma, it has never felt that static. The business has grown 83% annually, year over year. So have the design challenges, and there has always been a shift between shipping things fast, laying down the foundations, zooming out on the vision, zooming into the details. So raising what is the best new feature that we can define. Instead, it's more about these that we can solve with some elegance. That has kept me going, because like I could have left very early on, but it just felt like the obsession that I have to solve the user problems, the design challenges that kept with the growth of the company, just kept me growing as.
Fantastic. Nipurn, can I ask, 7 years on, looking back at where you've started and where you are now, and knowing that there's a lot of flux in the world around design capabilities, design interfaces, and interface models as LLMs and text to speech and speech to text is all coming to life faster than ever before. For
Mhm.
the junior designers out there that are stepping into their first design role, what advice would you be giving to either yourself if you was to be starting in your role 7 years ago in this day and age, or to just fresh designers coming into the industry for the first serious career move?
Yeah. My advice would be that whenever you're starting out, just don't worry about, will AI take our jobs? Will we even be needed? Because I'm just a new guy in the block, and everybody's just has learned all of these features. Like, I would say, if you're interested in design, start to put your work out there by just redesigning things that you already know. Pick up something, any app that you've already used, and see what problems it has. How can you improve them? Because every product has some issues, has some design issues that you can look at and look at your perspective. You have a fresh thinking right out of the box. You are not biased yet. So if you put your thinking out there, first, people will learn from you, and second, you will learn from the feedback that you get. And in design, feedback is the most important thing, that you do iterate on your work over and over again from all the feedback you get. That's the thing that makes you a good designer. Like, I have worked on multiple projects and while at Sigma, but what I do is I found myself being more productive when I switch between two unrelated projects. What I do is I work on like very focused, short bursts of time on each project, and then I move on, and then I come back to the previous project. So it sort of sharpens my critique because it makes my brain do a reset where I have to remember, oh, what was I doing? And then it makes me be a critique of my own work. That also is a way that you can learn to be better at your own work. And also it like sparks some unexpected ideas sometimes when you work on two different projects at the same time, where you can be like, oh, the pattern I was using in this project, maybe I can also reuse over here, or maybe something that I learned over here I can apply over here. So I would say, like, if you're early in your career, creativity, I would say, isn't about making things like just sexy new features. It's about creating clarity in the messy spaces that you work in.
Nice, nice. I honestly believe designers often sit at the forefront of collaboration,
Hmm.
out of absolute need. They sit in between the needs of stakeholders, product managers, engineers, technical constraints, non-functional
Hmm.
um, requirements, etc. But in your world, when it comes to working with large amounts of data as well, I appreciate there's multiple versions of truth, single versions of truth on data points, and so I can imagine you're working quite often in the unknown problem, unknown solution space, when there's no clear right answer in front of you. When everyone's got an opinion on a space like that, how do you approach collaboration?
So first of all, collaboration is very important when you're working with multiple stakeholders, because great product design doesn't happen in a vacuum. You have to work and co-create with everybody that you're working with. As a designer, you need to prototype early. If you find a problem, start trying, because every problem that we look at, nobody has done things from completely from scratch. There are solutions out there that you can look at, which is called competitive research. We look at the products, we see how they have tried to solve the problem. Is there something that we can get inspired from and then bring back into our product? What we also do is we dog food our own product as well. That we look at how people have been using our product. We see what patterns we can learn from, what behaviors do users have. One example I can give is when we were working on creating this feature long ago about joining two tables, we learned this behavior of like people just wanted to join the same tables over and over again. It was a very weird behavior we felt at early on, because we felt like, why would, when you've already done it once, why would you do it again? But it's like we learned that when you are asking a question, next time you want to look at the same data but you have a different question, and that's why people might be joining the same sources over and over again. And after learning that, what we did was we simply added a very basic feature where it would suggest you the previous sources that you joined with, and that actually improved the efficiency of creating joins by 14%. Small changes just by studying user behaviors, just by looking at the data, sometimes just looking at competitors. There are different ways to approach problems, and different ways like help with different problems as well. So it really depends what works for you, for your team. But you're right, it's never, there's never a right answer. You have to see what fits, what works for you. You need to have some, you need to develop some taste while you're working in the field, and go with your gut feeling that I have done my research, I believe in this, I am confident enough that I have these 7 design iterations, but this is the one that I think would work with our customers. Test on it, iterate on it, get feedback, improve on it, and if it doesn't work out, go through the same loop over again. But I feel like if you do it with instinct, with intuitiveness, I think the world is your oyster.
Fantastic. Nipurn, I want to get your thoughts on a little bit of sort of state of industry right now. Vibe coding is a word thrown around left, right, and center, and everyone's into it like they were in pickleball in 2021. When it comes to vibe coding, though, often the output of vibe coding is interfaces, is designs, and therefore, I feel that a lot of people are vibe designing without realizing it.
Yep.
Vibe coding's getting all of the spotlight right now. Can I ask, as a designer, what concerns do you have right now about vibe coding and what it means for design as an industry going forward?
Before talking about concerns, I think vibe coding has, for me personally, provided a lot more ways to not be stuck. Like, for example, I've like been deep into vibe coding a lot. Figma Make has made it very easy to try to do that. There are other products out there like Base 44, Lovable, where you can just think of some ideas, because I feel like what I've experienced is these products have become a really good way to kickstart your thinking. I have this problem. I want to design a solution for it. Can you come up with 4 ways to find a solution for this? And then it gives nice ideas. These AI things again are very confident in their answers, and they give you like, okay, here are the 4 things. You don't like it, I'll give you another 4 things. And so it makes you go. It gets you going without having to be to panic about that empty canvas. So it's become like a really good hyperactive partner that I can work with when I'm starting on a new project. So that ways it's good. But I feel that vibe coding hasn't reached that level where it can integrate with my designs yet, with my thinking yet. Like, I think again, design is all about, in the end of the day, taste. If it just cannot get the psychology of understanding the user behavior that actually shapes a product. It can give you a few ideas from the model that it has learned, but it can never bring in that feeling of like design is human, and so at the end of the day, I feel like we should not be over reliant on these vibe coding tools. Like, for example, when I'm using Figma Make these days, I start on a topic, and it helps me get somewhere, but after that I need to take that idea and put it back into my designs and go ahead from there. But if I become completely over reliant on these tools to just give me the final output, that's not the way to go. The other concern I have is for designers who just completely avoid this. Like, they're like, no, I don't want to do vibe coding. I want to do my thing. I mean, I understand that. I get it. But it's like, now it's a tool for you to just like jumpstart your work, be more productive than you ever thought you were. Like, these are not your enemies. They're not trying to take your jobs. They're just trying to, if you make it your friend, you'll be much further along in your process than we were like 4 years ago.
Nice. I appreciate the perspective as much as the wisdom there of how you're using these tools in the day-to-day, Nipurn. Thank you so much. Nipurn, this has been a pleasure to talk to someone that's living and breathing data visualization and design day in, day out. Thank you so much for coming on the show and expressing your experiences and your wisdom.
Oh, thank you for inviting. This was a fun talk. Thanks, Jay.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you to the audience as well for listening in to another episode of the Product Coalition. And again, I want to give a final shout out to the Noise Nest for affording me this fantastic recording studio facility that I'm recording with Nipurn in today. If you'd like to learn more about Product Coalition and the community, head over to productcoalition.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Product Coalition podcast, hosted by Jay Stansel. Got questions or want to explore more topics? Connect with Jay on LinkedIn or join the ever-growing Product Coalition community on Substack. Thanks for listening.